Hey everyone, here we are for our Worthiness Matters spirituality workout, day number 25 of our 30-day series. My name is Debbie Happy Cohen. I'm the founder of Joy Based Living, and today we're going to talk about trusting your heart. What does it mean to you to trust your heart? What does it mean? Sorry. What does it mean to you to trust your heart? What does it feel like when you trust your heart? When I'm talking with a good friend and I kind of get a sense that they want to do something because it's other people who want them to do that thing, kind of puts up red flags for me. And they go, "Well, what do you think?" And I go, "Do you really want me to say what I think?" Um, and I leave it to them, but it's usually in the air. So they're like, "Yes, tell me." I'm like, "I wonder what you really want. What's really true for you in your heart?" And I wonder that about you right now. I wonder what it is that you know in your heart that maybe you have been under listening to, that maybe you have been dismissing or maybe neglecting. A lot of times the heart speaks softly, but it's pretty consistent about what it knows, and it will. So I'll give you a quick story of what happened today. I'm registered for a class that I'm really enjoying. It's at 1 o'clock on Mondays for a few weeks. And so I went to the class on Zoom and I was all like, I had my hat on and my makeup on. I was all ready to learn and have a good time. And this little voice in my head was like, "You don't belong here today. You need to leave." And I was, "What are you talking about? You need to," and I don't usually hear that kind of thing that clearly. I don't know. For every person, it's different. Sometimes there's a feeling on the inside, like make a left turn, and you don't know where it came from. Sometimes it sounds like something. Sometimes it's just a feeling to go in a particular direction. And so again, it was like, "You don't belong here." And I was like, "What is he going to say? Something that's going to be like really horrible that's going to affect me?" Like I'm really enjoying this class. Well, then a couple minutes later, something popped up on my computer, and I don't get a whole lot of pop-ups. I have my life pretty well managed that way from distractions. And it was about another class that I wanted to take at the same time. And I had told the teacher that I could be there maybe one day this week. It's just 5 days in a row this week. And I said I could, I told her in advance I could be there one day probably this week. And that if there were recordings, I'd watch the recordings. And she said, "Yes, there will be recordings." And so um, I signed off of the class immediately that I was into, and I went to her class because the pop-up came up, and and I felt it. It's not that the pop-up came up, it was that it felt real to me, to my heart. And that's the topic of today is so then I went to her class and it was exactly what I needed. I mean, I was like sparkles and rainbows and fairy tales and ponies by the time we were done. I was like, really, my energy was flowing and I was a happy camper. And then afterwards I kept getting a message again. It was almost like the nudges that we get from the inside when we listen to them, they give us more nudges. It's kind of like a little kid who knows which adult is really going to listen to them. Like that's who they'll keep going to. And so it showed up and said, "Oh, call this friend, call this friend." I was like, "She's at work right now." "No, no, call her, call her." And I was like, "Leave me alone." And again, call her. So I'm like, "All right, well, I figured if she's at work, she doesn't have to answer her phone. She's good about not answering her phone if she's busy or whatever." So I call her. She picks it up after the first ring. And I said, "Well, I really just felt like I wanted to share some sparkles with you because I'm feeling really sparkly." She's like, "Actually, I'm in the middle of an art project right now and I could really use some sparklies." And it was just so perfect. And then another friend right after that, I was like, call her, call her, call her. Maybe she didn't leave yet because she was going to go down the mountain. And I was like, she was supposed to have left like an hour earlier. And I was like, maybe I'll just, give her a hug and say hi and share some sparkles with her. And I call her up and I said, did you leave yet? And she's like, I'm just walking to my car right now. And she's just down the block from me. So I was like, you want to pick me up? And she's like, okay. So the whole day, and then the person I was supposed to meet with, in the afternoon ended up being very late. And she ended up being later than me coming back from going back down the mountain. And so what I'm saying is that when I am listening to my heart, I get guidance that I don't understand. I get guidance that doesn't make logical sense, that connects me with other people in their hearts and with the flow. So that just sounds so woo that I'm so practical in most of these videos, and I really resist a lot of the woo because a lot of people who choose woo, um, they choose it without enough of a strong psychological foundation, and they use it like there'll be people who are either people pleasers or they're using it actually abusively. They're using it in ways that they're not connected really to their bodies. They're not moving energy in ways that are healthy in their relationships, but they're doing woo. And so um that doesn't count, like, to me, like, that's not cool. And I think we really have to take ownership of our psychological well-being, our ability to know what we feel, to be able to share what we feel, our ability to have real reciprocity in our relationships, really allowing ourselves to be seen, having others around us who want us to see them. And when you have that as the basis, then all the woo stuff can be really, really, really fun. Um, and I guess I'll start coming to a close with this. I'm hoping that by sharing these stories, sometimes when I hear people's stories about stuff like this, I go, oh my gosh, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, it reminds me to listen more. So I'm hoping that my story tickles you to listen to yourself more in that real heartful way. So, one of my friends was kind of worried about one of her kids who's an adult, and I said, she has reasons to feel concerned, and I said, I want you to feel his happiness deep, 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 deep in your gut. I want you to vision him happy, like so deep inside you, and make it not dependent on anything. Just see him, feel him happy. And she this was a few days ago, and today when I saw her, she said, well, I did it, and I told my husband to do it too. And this is somebody who's very, very practical minded, very action oriented. Well, she did this. She showed up today and she's like all lit up, and she's like, I just had this dream about my son, and she was glowing. She was glowing. I was like, tell me more about your dream. Oh, and he was just playing and blah 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 blah. And then I was a little worried about him because blah blah blah. But the look on her face, I said, name the feelings. And she kept trying to describe the story. And I was like, name the feelings. And I gave her I showed her a copy of the emotional ladder. And what we came to was happiness, delighted, and love. Happiness, delighted, and love. And I'm like, you are exuding that. I'm like, every time you feel that about your son and you feel it in your heart and in your gut and in your soul, every time that you feel that, I want you to use that dream as a touchstone, because every time you feel that, he's going to feel it. He's going to pick up on it. He is going to experience it in his heart. You're going to give him food. You're going to give him life food. It's like it feels like a prayer, but it's not a direct prayer. It's just an opening of one's heart in relationship with another person or thing or being. It's like you're holding a space of love for that person. And on an energetic level, they do feel it. They do pick up on it. I always give caveats about things. I do recommend doing this with people that you love. If you've been in abusive relationships, I want you to be really careful, protect your energy. Um, I say that because I'm surrounded by so many kind people and loving people, and sometimes it's kind and loving to a fault. And and so again, that comes down to being grounded in yourself, and that comes down to being worthy, feeling worthy. Worthiness matters. Your worthiness matters. And when you know that your worthiness matters, you're going to protect yourself from people who want to drain you just because they want to drain you, even if they don't realize that what they're up to. Some people do realize it and they do it on purpose, and some people don't realize it. And but they're doing it anyway, and when you tell them to stop, they don't. And so it's up to you to set those boundaries. It's up to you to set the stage for what it is that's really important to you in the different areas of your life that are important to you. And so I believe in you, and I believe in the truths of your heart. And sometimes when I'm talking to someone or working with someone, I'm listening to what's really wanting to be heard. And sometimes the person is able to really listen to themselves, and sometimes they're in so much denial or they have so much conflict about it because of what the consequences might be if they really listen to that. Um, and so every person has to walk their own path in a way that really works for them. And my wish for you is that you're able to live in integrity with your own heart and soul to the very best of your ability, to clean up the past, to be as fully present as you can be in the present, and to walk into your future, letting your heart be a guide for you. And I don't say be the guide because that can also be like, you have to be careful with these spiritual things. The heart can be fickle sometimes, especially if you're depressed or sad or you've just been through a breakup. And so you really, what you want to rest on is your core values and your clear intentions from the moments when you are feeling good and you're like, that's where I'm going, that's who I want to be, that's who I want to become. And then you listen to your heart along the way, and let it support you, and it will fill you, and it will shine light on your path in a way that nothing else can and no one else can. And so I encourage you to have the very best relationship with your heart that you can have, and to trust yourself above all. Trust yourself. And if you don't right now, then build the skills and build the muscles and learn to, because you have it inside of you, because you were given a heart. I feel like I'm in the Wizard of Oz. And yeah, I have a brain and I have a heart and I have friends and I have loved ones. Um, and I have courage. So thank you for being here with me today on this journey. The journey of joy-based living is not an individual journey. It is a collaborative journey. It's a journey that requires others along for the ride. It really is. And it's so beautiful. A tree is healthier when it has other trees around it and supporting the ground, supporting it. We're like trees that way. I believe in you and I believe in your heart. Keep going forward with as much love as you can. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.